Hello, Sophie here at CompuSport. Today's training is a situation where you want to do a league's final, like playoffs, okay? And that you want to do round robins. So 4 round robin pods in this example, 4 round robin pods that are going to go into a final bracket. All right. So if you're at the right place, keep watching. If not, you can look for more videos, or you can send us an email at info@compusport.us and let us know what you need for training. All right, so pods that are going into a final bracket, this is specifically for a league year end, all right? But I mean, the tools can be used for tournaments as well. I'm just gonna say little specifications that go, that are based on leagues. So first thing you wanna do is create your tournament for your league year end tournament. So I'm not going to go through that in this video, but it's basically going to menu, manage, create my event, and you create an event for your tournament. What I do want to mention though, is that in this case, I copied from my league, I copied all of the teams and the players because that way I'm going to save myself some time. I'm going to save the hassle of not creating duplicates, stuff like that. So all I did was copy over my league tables, the teams, the players, all that kind of stuff. All right, so they're in here and I'm ready to go because when you create an event, it asks you if you want to copy from a past event. All right, so I picked my league and I said that I wanted to bring over all the teams. So next step, now that I've got my event, what I'm going to suggest doing is, because I've also brought over my buildings and tables, but for scheduling purposes, I find it easier to bring in like just a random building. I'm going to name it random building. And I'm going to tell the system to add, in this case, I've got 17 teams. So I'm going to need 16, 8. I'm going to need at least I'm going to just put in 10 tables. All right, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to put that in. And I've created myself 10 tables. And I'll explain that later, but it's just I always go like from top to bottom almost. So I wanted to just take care of my buildings and my tables. So menu, manage divisions is the next place I want to go. And this time it's empty because I didn't copy the divisions over from the league. I just have the one division. So I'm going to click on the plus. I'm going to name it year-end group. Obviously, you can name this whatever you want, year-end group. You pick a color. I suggest not keeping it to white, and then making sure teams are singles, and in this case, teams, and save. The reason I say not white is because in the scheduler, when you select, it's outlined in white, and then it's hard to tell when it's white. All right, so I've got my group. That was it. I created the folder. Under menu, manage teams, where I've got my teams copied, right, that I brought over, I'm going to select them and I'm going to toss them into that group. So what I want to do here, I've got my 17 teams. I'm going to select one of them. So with the mouse, I click on one of them. I hold Control and I click on the letter A. It selects them all. Okay, so that's a trick to select them all rather than having to go one by one. I select them all and I add them to a division. And in this case, I'm adding them to my year-end group. And I'm going to say, okay. Next step. That was it. That's all we needed there for now. Or if I talk about later about custom values, or like if you want to put in the city and all that kind of stuff for tossing them into their pods, this is where you put them under teams, and then like a custom value or a custom text value, any information that you're going to need in order to sort the teams out. All right. So those are the columns I'm talking about. Menu, manage, and this time I want to go to round robins. In menu, manage, brackets, round robin, and then round robin. Under round robin, I'm going to create 4 round robins. So what I'm going to do to start, and this is where I guess I could have copied them over because then I would have had my settings for leagues. I didn't think of that. Not a big deal. You could always just open up your league page and then compare your score input section for your score sheets, so that you have all the same settings, if that's the case that you're using them all. All right, so creating a round robin, I'm going to go to division. I'm going to select the group where the team's going to pick up from the teams. And then under the name section, I could say pod, for example. All right, so pods. And I'm going to make them a little bit more than 15 minutes. I'm going to put them like for an hour. And then I'm going to go score input section, and I'm going to make sure that I've got the right settings, especially if you're using the same thing as your league for your round robin. Just compare your settings from under score input for your league. So you pick the right stuff here, and then if it's like handicap or if it's not handicap, all that kind of stuff. All right, so it's really important to go under the score input section and do your settings. And you want to do this before you make it live, because then when you make it live, your players sometimes open up a score sheet, and if it's not the right settings, then their score sheet's open, and then you change their score sheet. It just gets difficult. So I strongly suggest always doing your score input before putting things live. All right, so here, let's say I'm doing some settings there, and I'm just going to pick something random for now, but obviously in your case, compare your settings for leagues. And then, I don't know, let's say it's like most wins, or more in leagues, maybe it was like most round points, let's say. Put your settings in. In this case, if you're not doing the handicap, just leave that blank. If you are, then you can put in, you could say that it's a custom value that you put under players, and you put like what their year-end average was, for example. That can be done as well. All right, so in a custom value under players. All right, so I've got my settings there. So I created one. So I create one, and I look through my score input section, and I set that up. And then what makes my life a lot easier is, instead of creating 4 of them by clicking on the plus, I'm going to select the one that I created, and I'm going to copy it. All right, so I'm saving myself some time, and I'm going to make 3 more because I want 4 all together. By default, the system names them 1 through 4. So now I've got my 4 pods, and they all have the same settings. All right, so all is good to go. Let's say you did forget your settings and you didn't put them before you copied. That's fine. You can come back, click on one of them, Control A, selects them all, pencil, and do a multiple edit. Basically, multiple edit is when you want to change the same thing for all of them. You can grab them all at the same time, go to the score input, make your changes, and then save your changes. All right, so that can be done as well. The other thing I want to do is under manage, menu, manage, round robins. I've got my 4 pods right under the round robin, and now I want to do my final bracket. So I'm going to go to brackets. Same thing where I click on the plus, and this time I'm going to again associate them to the group so that it picks up the teams, and I'm going to call it the final bracket. Obviously, you name this whatever you want, and then you pick the size. So in this case, I've got 17 teams. I'm going to have 4 pods. Let's say I take 4 winners, the top 2 of each pod, that's like 8 teams. So I'm going to do a double elimination 8, or I could do double elimination 8, no prolongation. That means that at the end, when the one team hasn't lost at all, and you need to beat them out twice, so like that would be the normal bracket. And if you don't want them to have to beat out twice, you say no prolongation. All right, that's basically what it means. So double elimination 8, I'm going right normal. Instead of 15 minutes, I'm going to say 60. Obviously you do what you roughly think that this would be. Same thing, underscore input. It's really important to do your settings. Do not get your bracket to be public, and then your players start opening up the wrong score sheet, and then you've got a mess. So make sure you do your score input section. Now, let's say leagues, the round robin, you were doing it just like leagues, you're doing your league score sheet, but then in the final bracket, you want to do like a raise 2, all right? So we have this tool. Either you can look for it over here. If not, you can do a find a score sheet. All right. So this tool helps you find a score sheet. In this case, I want to do a race to. So I'm going to say based on race to. It's going to narrow it down. And then let's say, so I could just look through this list. In this case, not race to 9, 9 divided by 2, that's 18 minus 1, 17. So you basically need 17 games for a race to 9, right? So let's say for my teams. So I'm going to take a look at this one, member of teams for versus for 17 games, and I can preview it and make sure I've got the right rotation, and then it's got wins so that you can keep track putting the wins in. And let's say that's the one I want, I can select. While I'm here, I just kind of want to show you a little option that I really like is you do like a few selections. Okay, so for the filter, and then you say instead of a list over here, you can say, I want to see them as cards. So then it's letting you see the score sheet just like this, so you can compare them. And then if you even want to see like more, you can say preview and look at it, the whole thing. All right. So whenever you find your score sheet, I'll go back to list. Whenever you find your score sheet, then you click on, just want to find it again, on select. And now your score sheet is selected. Then the system's like, well, what do you want to keep track of? I'm going to put wins, each result. So we're good to go. I'm going to do a race. All right, so I've created my final bracket. The next step is setting up your stats so that the system knows how to rank your teams, right? Because you're going to be like based on their ranking. So you want to make sure that that's right. So under menu, manage, statistics, standings, stats, model, editor, you're going to make sure that your model for teams has the right ranking. Okay, so in your round robin, if it's like the full score sheets, is it the match wins? Is it the most points, whatever, like however they are, you want them to be ranked. You make sure the first one's on top. And then if that's tied, it'll look at the next one. And if that's tied, it looks at the next one. And in this case, I've decided like, if that's tied and that's tied, then I want a head-to-head rank. Head-to-head meaning that it's going to look at those two people, those two teams that are tied, and then whoever won against each other. All right. So by default here, I've got my head-to-head model. And my head-to-head model looks at the match win of those two. All right. So model for players, the rank decides how it's going to be ranked. And if it has to, it's going to go look at the head-to-head model, which is the match win against those two. That is how I've set it up. You set it up however you want. But basically the ranking here is what's going to help the system know who's first, second ranked or whatever to go into final bracket. All right. So you want to make sure that that's set up. Your next step is to link your round robin pods into the final bracket. So now there's two options here. You could decide that they don't have like a preset spot on the bracket, or if you want to just like preset it before the round robins even start, then you don't have to worry about that. This is what I'm showing you right now. So we've got this round robin to bracket linker. This can be used in tournaments as well, just normal tournaments. Here I get to the page and by default it's showing me whatever is in the box here. So it could be like 2 or 3. So in this case, it's showing me the rank. So like pod 1, rank 1, 2, 3, pod 2, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So if I need to see more, I can open it up and see like number of rank and then like say 4 or whatever. If you've got too many, that's not a problem. It's just that you're seeing too much stuff for nothing and it's not a big deal. So here, I'm going to say in this group, I've already had that picked. I've got my pods and I'm going to say I want them to go into the final bracket. So how this works, and this is the same linker, kind of very similar to the bracket to bracket to final bracket, but in this case, this is your round robin. So I'm going to say pod 1, rank 1. Where did this guy go? You pick the spot and then you say link. Pod 2, rank 1. Where does he go? And then link. And you keep doing that, all right? Now, do not look at how I'm linking them. I'm just doing whatever. I just want to show you how this works. I'm picking the first rank, I'm picking the spot, and I say link. And then you're going to go with like your pod 1 ranked second place, and then, where is he going? A little suggestion. I'm kind of assuming that you don't want them playing against the same again. So I wouldn't put, I know that I've put my round, first rank in here, so I don't want to put my second rank of the same pod here. But that's just my opinion. Maybe you have something different. So you do whatever you do. Pod 1, position rank number 2. Where does he go? You pick the spot, and then you say the linker. All right. So that was clear for everyone. Now, just here, I'm just going to keep putting them in, just because for training purposes later, I am not paying too much attention to this right now. I'm going to put them there, but please take some time and make sure that you're not linking them, so that they're not well placed. All right. So once I've got like writing in all of them, it means that they're linked. So next step is going to be the scheduling part. All right. So actually, I forgot a step. before we do that, we want to fill up the bracket and round robin. We basically want to put our teams into the pods, and then so that they can then go into the final bracket. So I'm using the tool called Fill Up Brackets. So it's under Menu, Manage, Brackets and Round Robin, and then Fill Up Brackets. And then here I grab the group like that. And then right now I'm set to random, and that they play one match against each other. Now, two options here. I could either decide that I'm randomly putting them, and you want the system to just randomly toss them into these 4 pods. So I'd have all 4 pods selected. Here I've got the list of teams, and then I could say, I could right click on the word selection and then say check all, and then say try shuffle, and then boom, they go into different groups, all right, into different pods. Now, pod 4 here has 5 teams, so it has a bye, right? So that's the difference between the other ones, because it's 17 teams going to 4 pods. The system knows that to split them up based on the number they have in the pods that you have. So you could do that. That's one option, and then I could say accept the results. The other way that you could do it as well, if it's especially if you already know what pod they're going into. So in that case, when you know which pod you want them going into, you want to make sure that you don't select the other pods. I only have 1 pod selected. I'm going to say these 4 teams. You would obviously know which ones. Try shuffle, and then you see, the teams that are going in, and then say accept the results, and then do it again. Pick your other one, and then it's got your 4 teams, and then let's say my pod 2 now, and I want to fill it up. So I'm going to go fill up with the next ones, try shuffle, accept the results. And I'm going to do this 4 times because I know the teams that I want in there. Now, in this case, I picked random, and it's like not going to work because it's just like the list was different every time. So I was just like picking random, but obviously in your case, you know which ones you wanted. Like I said, you want to make sure that you pick the right pod in the middle, that you pick the 4 teams that go in, try shuffle, accept the results. All right. So now I said accept the results. So the teams actually went in, but because I want to make sure that I didn't pick the right teams, let me just show you how you would, let's say you did like a little whoopsie. You would go to round robins. I'm going to select all 4 of these. I'm going to display more options, and I'm going to say delete the matches. So like delete how those were matched up together, the 4 teams. I just want to make sure that I'm going to do this right. This is an extra step though, that if you didn't do a boo-boo, then you're not going to have to go do that. But menu, manage, fill up brackets. I'm going to go back, and just to make my life easier right now, I'm just going to go 17 teams, select them all, right? I right click on here, check all. I've got all my 4 groups. I'm going to do random. Just so you know, though, you could do like seeded by the city they come from, or like seeded by, whatever. But like I said earlier, when I was under teams, right, you, whatever you're wanting to seed by, that information needs to be available on the system. So either seeded, and then you come and pick, like, I don't know, maybe you put something in custom value and you want to use that to seed them. All right. So you want to make sure the information is available on the system. In this case, I'm just going to do random. I'm grabbing all of these guys. I'm saying split them up into these 4. Try shuffle shows you here on the right hand side, and accept the results. So now that filled up the bracket again. But that being said, I had deleted what I had done before, right? Before you go and accept results over top. Either way would tell you that you can't. So that is what you want to do for that. And then the final bracket will get fed automatically. Now, side note, if you didn't want to you skip that like linker part because you actually don't want them to have a spot. And then whenever they're done, all of their pods, you would come in here and you would grab these guys. Now their pods are done. And now there's the final bracket. You could kind of use the same thing with the rank. So you would say that you want to seed them. And then you would say by the rank. Let me find that. Okay, rank. And then obviously the rank wouldn't be at 0 because, they're done. The system has ranked them with the information we put in. And then this is where you could like grab just the top, let's say it was like the top 8 teams. I'm pretending it's these ones, but you would obviously pick all the ones that say 1s and 2s or whatever. And then you would say into the final bracket. And then you'd say like try shuffle and then accept results or whatever. Okay, so that's the other way. That's the way you would do it if you don't want them to have a specific spot that they're not going into automatically. We like the automatically because we're always trying to get anything out of the way that you don't have to think of during the tournament, right? You're setting it up, you do it, you don't have to think about it again. But this is another option that you can do. All right, so that is to go into your final bracket. All right, so now that I've got my pods and I've got my final bracket, and in my case, I used the bracket linker. I want to schedule these things. So I'm going to go menu, manage, surfaces scheduler. And then I could decide to filter like what I want to see. So let's say show filter, and I only want to see from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. and I only want to see Thursdays. I could apply that. And then what's going to happen here is that I'm only going to see Thursday the 11th from 7 to 10. But now let's say my tournament's going to run like till the 25th. So I can move. So my from the 11th to the 25th, and I only want to see these times. And I'm going to, and this was probably not checked. So you come in here and you say you want to show the scheduling tool. I'm kind of hiding some options here on the side. So whenever I click on show scheduling tool, there's the select bracket that appears on the right-hand side, and I'm going to grab my group. Oh, in this case, I'm going to specifically just grab the pods for now. I don't want to take care of the final bracket for now. And I'm going to grab round 1, and it says like the match count. That's rounds and then count the number of matches there are in each pod. So first I'm going to grab my pod, my round 1. I select them all. What I did here is I grabbed the top one, I hold shift, and I went and grabbed the bottom one I want. It grabs everything in between, or I could have went like grab one, hold control, grab the other, grab the other, grab the other while I'm holding control. So however you want to work it out, grab one, hold shift, grab the bottom one, selects them all. Now with my mouse, I'm going to grab this group here. So basically I click on anywhere on top of here and I drag it over to my actual tables. Okay. So see how I've got a line that points to the times and a line that points to the top to the tables. Okay. So in this case, I could drop it on the first table of boat, and it's just going to drop them. But the system's not, unfortunately, the system is not going to drop them onto the right bar. So that's why I created those other tables, because I wanted to be able to drop them in. And by the way, when you're pointing, see like the time is pointing at 7. I don't have to be like right at the beginning of the 7. Anywhere in between here is 7, okay? Because I filtered it and I'm looking at everything on the hour. And so I'm only seeing the hours. I'm not seeing minutes. All right, so I'm pointing to 7. I'm pointing to the first table of that random, these like kind of like a fake building that I've created, and I drop them in. All right, so from there, see the white outline I was talking about earlier? If I click away, the system is outlining them in turquoise because it's showing me that they are not at home. So what I can do here is I'm going to check. So I hover over it. It shows me Swiss Street. So I'm going to bring these guys to Swiss Street, and then I can check for the other one, Romy's Place. So I can drop them at Romy's Place. Boathouse, Swiss Street only has the one table. So in this case, I'm not sure if the person actually has another table. I'm going to leave it there for now. And then I keep doing that basically. Okay, so mugs, and I put them at the right place. Every once in a while, I want to apply my changes. So I would keep doing that, or like you could just leave them here. And if they know where they're playing, it's just going to give them a time and like the home team, and if they're playing at that home bar. All right, so you want to make sure that you've got the right stuff going on here. And then I would move on to my round 2, grab them, bring them into the following week on my random table at 7 p.m., drop those in again, and then again, move them over, do the same thing for round 3. And then I've got like my pod 4 that has more rounds. All right. So I don't know how they'd be dealing with this in this case, but maybe it's like the following Thursday. So see how I added a date in my calendar? So it added a date at the bottom here. And then just for, I'm just grabbing whatever and I'm putting them in here. And then by default, the system puts them under. All right. So however that's going to work out, you're sliding them in, you're putting them on the actual tables, and you slide them under so that they know where they play. Or like I said, just leaving them on these tables would work as well. Now, I also have my bracket, right? My final bracket. So maybe the final bracket is either, I don't know, happening the next Thursday, or maybe it's happening like on a weekend. It's like a weekend thing. So in that case, I would change my filters and I'd be like, okay, so they finished, let's say on the 2nd. So maybe on Saturday the 4th. So changing my filters, I'm going to say I want to look at all, and I want to look from like 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I'm going to apply the changes. So now it's just making it larger, right? So I have to like scroll down, and I want to look at Saturday the 4th and the 3rd. So I got to find them. Gotta go down. See how there's like the date and the times here? Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go down to May 4th. I'm pretending this is a Saturday bracket. Again, it could be that it's like every Thursday night. I don't know if it's a weekend thing or not. I'm just using this as an example. And then again, I'm going to go grab my bracket. I'm going to open it up, and now I just have my final bracket. So I could just like grab my final bracket, grab it all. Saturday it starts at 9 a.m. like that, drop them in. By default, it drops them so that they're going down. So, okay, so now that I've dropped that in, I just want to show you what it does, okay? So if I go to the chart, you need them to have a schedule in order to have access to the score sheet. So that is one important thing, why you want to have a schedule. I drop them in, and so now there's a time and there's a table on all of them, which you can fix under Find Surfaces Scheduler or under Calendar where you actually want them to play. And I've got my pods that say like the date that they're playing against the team. And then, obviously they'd have like a score sheet on the app. And then you can go and check them out this way. Now, pods have to be with the Surfaces Scheduler. You have to drop them in, but I wanted to show you that a final bracket, I could have not slid them in and have this all be here. They would all be blank. And what I could have done is click on the middle of each one, options, edit the schedule, put where they play, what time. And this is where you can also just make changes. So each and every one of them, option, edit schedule. So I like the Surfaces Scheduler. I like to just drop them in. To me, it's just like, boom, it's done. It's easy, but always a preference thing, right? So click options and then decide what you're doing. All right, so now I've got my schedules done for this tournament, and now I want to make it public. So what I want to do is we've got a new tool at the bottom where you could say, like, it's telling you, hey, your event's not active. You could say fix. We see that you have a division. It's not public. Fix. And then this is where like the brackets and stuff don't want to show it right now. It's not activating that. It's realizing there's a schedule and that it should be assigned. But you can go to round robin, make those public. Boop, 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 boop. And I'm not actually going to do this for real today, but you can basically make them public that way. And then the players will see notifications on the app and they'll be set and ready to go. So you do that, and then you can make your bracket public whenever you want to do that as well. All right, so that was a lot of information. You can restart this video however many times you want or you need. And if you have any questions, you can always email us at info@compusport.us or check out our FAQ page, our frequently asked questions page, which there's a link available here under menu, manage, and then frequently asked questions. And then there's like step-by-steps. Okay, so if you need some writing or step-by-steps or whatever for specific things, you can do that as well. All right, well, thank you very much for watching and have a nice day.